Well, the year might be coming to an end, but the racing doesn't stop as we get to an important point in the championship of the Bohlin Svenska eRACING. It is round 10 of the 2024-25 season, and things are hotting up as we have just the final race of this year before going into 2025. We'll have a couple more races to decide the regular season champion and who is going to the playoffs. It's myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you the Kör Vänster by MH eRACING, and this is going to be a whole load of fun here at Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight. Got 153 laps for you, and of course some action. I'm sure a few cautions will come in. We saw that last time out. We had the double header at Iowa, races won by Eracingligan and also Linus Broström. We had the run to the line. Unfortunately, the running out of fuel for Gunnarsson as he marked his return with the Alcantech cars, but this is where we stand. We started at Auto Club, we work our way through the calendar. We've had the road course at Indianapolis in round 6. We now come to Charlotte round 10 before the final 4 races: Nashville, New Hampshire, Darlington and Daytona. They open up 2025 and conclude the regular season before we go to the round of 15 and the playoffs. So this is those top 15 drivers in the championship that we are looking for. And of course, remember, a win and you're in. This is how it looks in the standings. We are tied. So also note, a drop week has now been implemented. There will be 2 drop weeks throughout the season. One of those has now been taken into effect in the standings, and we are tied at the front between Ericsson and Linus Broström, which is an exciting prospect as we work our way towards the end of the season. Broström finally getting his first race win of the season at the second race there at Iowa, but he is tied in terms of points, with Ericsson, of course, getting 2 extra wins, an extra stage win, and some extra bonus points, helping him get that total leveled back up despite him having a few bad races so far this season. And of course, is very tight in behind all those drivers, trying to keep their hopes alive of an outside chance of the championship, trying to sneak a race win here and there. It has certainly been an interesting season so far. 9 races down, race 10 is on the cards today, and we come into the qualifying session. And it was interesting last time out Iowa. We had the double header. We had so many cautions in that first race, but it was a little bit calmer in the second, which led to some fuel-saving games, and Gunnarsson just came up about 100 meters too short.
It was a very bizarre couple of races, actually. We had 6 cautions in the first race and 3 in the second, despite the fact that the second race actually ended up going for about 30-40 laps longer. So it was a little bit weird, but yeah, I think a fun event to go for a double header. Now, though, we're back to the more normal sort of length of races, really, and that is going to remain right the way to the very end of the season as well. So looking forward to our final event of 2024. Going to be important to see who gets another race win here in this series. As you mentioned, it's winning you in, and so far I believe 7 drivers are into the playoffs already with 1 win, and only 1 driver has multiple. Jesper Eriksson, of course, who has 3 to his name.
And of course, look out for the Alcantech team as well. They rejoined us at the previous round, having not participated in the beginning part of this season. They were up there to the very end last season. Of course, their driver, Michael Haflidsson, able to get the victory in the end in the championship. But of course, as a team, they were so dominant last year, and they are now back. They need to get themselves inside the top 30 in terms of points, even if they get a win. So that is really what they're looking out for. They need to obviously get the points, but also they need to nick a win. And talking of Alcantech, they take pole position here tonight at Charlotte. Blixt is on the pole in the 95 machine with Ericsson alongside him. Michael Haflidsson in that number 1 machine, returning after not participating in Iowa. He is there on that second row with Peter Helmbro, a strong qualifying driver up there in P4. Forsland and Bohlin there in the third row. Of course, Forsland winning the IndyCar series last week. Congratulations to him. Aronson, Helm, Platten, Holmer inside your top, Solo I should say, inside your top 10, and then we've got Holmbaum and Holmer inside your top 12. Kenneth rounds out the top 13 with Peppels, Leppit and Schwer inside the top 16, Fredriksson and Wallen inside your top 18. Tademo, Salander, Schott, Eriksson, Uvenen, Hagström, your top 12 rows, and we do have a big grid here tonight. Moten, Gantz, Lundberg, Gunnarsson down there just P28 after almost winning the last time out. Let's see what he can do coming up the order. Auto and Wurba, teammates there on the 15th row. Ryan back, Linus Broström, 7/10 off there. He must have made a mistake. Marcus Hogman as well. Some of the drivers you expect to be a little bit higher up. Skoglund, Broström, Norgren rounding up your top 36. And on the final page, you've got Pfeffer, Kinnell, and then the normal drivers at the back of Dahlstrom and Stiller, because especially Stiller, he likes to not qualify and always do a last to question mark challenge. Let's see how high up he can get, because actually in the standings, Marcus Stiller is P9, and I'll repeat the sentence I just said. He started from the back in every race so far, P9 in the championship.
And up to, after his performances at Iowa, by the way, into the top 10 for the very first time. So Marcus Stiller is going rather well as things stand. But this is still so open, isn't it, in this championship? Still 5 rounds to go until the playoffs, and we really don't know who's going to be there.
Oh, we really don't. It could change very, very quickly indeed. Of course, the drop scores coming in do help the drivers who've had some bad rounds. I mean, we were speaking to Linus just before the race. He was saying because he's had all good rounds, he effectively loses more points, therefore. But those drivers, such as Ericsson, he's had a couple of bad races, and he will be able to jump a little bit higher up. I've noticed Dominic Savicki is still not coming. He's missed a few races. He's dropping down the standings. Bit of a shame for him after getting a race victory earlier this season. Let's see if he can stay inside the points to stay inside the playoffs. But what do you think we're going to get tonight? 153 laps, stage on lap 65, with fuel only going to about lap 60. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think some people are going to try and make it to that stage, especially if there's a caution, and I do believe there will be a relatively early caution. We very rarely get long opening green flag runs. We had 2 laps at the start of the first Iowa race, and it's precisely no laps at the start of the second Iowa race. That's just 2 examples. There's plenty more throughout the season, so I would expect to see some interesting games as we get this race underway here. 153 laps.
And with only 4 sets of tyres, they've got to be careful and not pit too soon if we get an early caution. But the V-Shore Vänster by MHE Racing is going to get underway, and we will start round 10 of the Bohlin Svenska eRACING. That's a great start, though, from the 37 on that outside line. Despite being second place, the poleman of Blix has not had a good run as he work away through turns 1 and 2. We're side by side still as they work their way into some sort of formation. But this is a great start for Ericsson round the outside. Surely he's going to have the lead down to turn 3.
Well, it's a drag race up towards 3 and 4. When you're starting one of these races, it's really almost flat out through turn 1 and 2 first time around, but then it's 3 and 4 where things get interesting. Ericsson round the outside. He's going to get the lead at the end of lap 1.
Certainly is. What a start from the 37. Interestingly, though, the 95 on the pole seems to get a worse start. He's got his teammate Hafliderson, who's followed him into that 3rd position. We're looking at Nicholas Hellman, 55, who's had some strong runs up towards the front, but keeps on getting involved in a few silly incidents here and there that's dropped him down the standings. But once again, a top contender up towards the front as we work our way through these opening couple of laps. It stayed green.
It certainly has. Round the outside for Evan Forsland, high on confidence, I'm sure, after winning the Indy Series last week. He grazes the wall, though, and I think he may have done, or someone around him certainly did, out of 4 on the opening lap as well. That's the real thing you've got to watch around this circuit. Turn 2's okay in terms of scraping the wall. You see that a bit less than the final corner, but that'll be something to watch throughout the day. Here goes Forsland again on the outside. He's past Oliver Bohlin.
And look how fast these corners are as well. We're told the drop-off on the tyres is quite dramatic. I mean, we've seen this for most of the season, but this is another track to exploit that. Forsum round the outside of Helmbro, completely round the outside, makes on the exit of 4. Lovely move up into P4.
Absolutely, this circuit very, very smooth indeed, and it's certainly helping the likes of Evan Forsland move up the field. Just got to worry about his tyres, to be honest. This has been going on in the mid-pack. Oscar Fredriksson has been tipped around. I think that's by Tony Uvenen, but it's a massive save, and we stay green.
That was a crazy save. As you remain side by side with Forsland, is he going to be able to hold on to it? Because the one of Hafliderson on his return, having a strong start already. Forsland into the wall again. Needs to be careful of the bodywork on the back right of that 27 machine. But what a side by side battle we're seeing. Looks like Hafliderson going to hold on to that. But this high mid line is really working for the 27.
It is for the moment, but is he going to run out of luck there at some point? No, he just about couldn't come up there, Hafliderson. He would have hoped that he could just pull up onto the normal racing line there and shut the door on Forsland, but no. And now his luck is running out on the outside line there in the 27. I'd be really careful about driving the way that Forsland is at the moment. The tyre drop-off here is not insignificant, although it's far from the highest that we see anywhere around the venues that we go to this year. It's still something to worry worry about, and especially if you're going up high, you are burning up those right side tyres a lot quicker than you are down low.
Certainly, and it looks like we have got into a bit of a single file formation and no one going side by side as we now are on to lap 6. It was Linus Brewstrom before, who's down in about P33 as it stands, but he was the one before the race telling us those pushing early will have significantly slower pace by the time we get to the end of this first stint. So as you're saying, maybe that 27 is going to drop off, but I guess he's feeling good coming off his IndyCar championship, and now he wants to try and continue that in the Xfinity cars that we have today. On to lap 7, and it looks like Ericsson is not pulling away at the front. It's just a couple of tenths to Blix. Actually, the caution does come out though. Lap 7, first caution of the day.
Yep, so finally caution coming out there, just 6 laps, and again, it's what we've seen throughout this season. We very, very rarely get long green flag runs at the beginning. Talladega is only the really big example of that. I'm not counting Indy Road Course because there were no cautions, and there weren't ever going to be, but that's still Talladega, the only race where really we've got off to a long early green flag run, and it is quite bizarre.
So obviously we're going to have to debunk what's happened. I was going to say we got to Reinbach and Kör in the pit lane. These are the two on screen. Kör gets sent up into the catch fencing and doing a good job not to flip him over. Oh no, then the 99 rolls down into his teammate as well. I think that might be Tademo. Robert Ericsson has come down pit road with Skoglund as well. So those two cars involved. So that is not ideal. We've also had Hagman shot down pit road already. So maybe there was a further incident. But yeah, for Jochen Kör, he had a penalty in the previous race as well. Another driver who's run up towards the front, similar to Helm quite a lot, says, oh no, they don't. They have a little bit of a spook into the pit lane, but they decide to stay out.
No, as expected. I don't know if you remember this. 2 weeks ago, Shu and Reinbach made contact and had sort of a half spin in fairly similar fashion, actually, in the opening race at Iowa. So they've clearly been magnetic recently, and unfortunately on this occasion they've crashed again. It looks like there are a few takers further back. Daniel Solo is the first of them, and then the likes of Holmes, Lander. In fact, well over 10, 15 drivers have just decided to come in down the back.
And I want to see, is it gas and go? I think it might be, because this will now get you past the stage. So you'll be able to stay out to the end and hopefully get those points, whereas the drivers on track, if we now go green, we'll have to do a lot of fuel saving. So this isn't so bad. If you're at the back of the train anyway, you might as well go in, come back out onto track, and you're still at the back of the train, but you've got more fuel. So I don't think that's too bad of an idea. Looking at the pit stop times, yes, I don't believe there has been at least 4 tyres for some people. There's been potentially 2 though.
Maybe 2. As I was talking about earlier on, you do lean on the right side tyres quite a lot around this circuit, so maybe you would take right sides. However, it's very early in the race to be doing that, to be honest, considering you've only got 3 sets, as always, to go on to throughout the race. You really want to be saving those for later, especially around this circuit where you want them a little bit later on. If you need the good track position, that much is true. It's not the widest circuit in the world, but also you need some tyres to hold back for the end as well. So I'd be surprised if we see the main bulk of contenders taking 4 tyre stops until probably about lap 40 or 50.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you say 4 tyre stints for the race, divide it by 4 and 153 laps, and as you say, that is approximately the lap of lap 40 or so is where they're going to at least try to make a pit stop, but you never know when a caution is going to come out and your hand might be forced a little bit. We did see a big difference with those cautions in the second race, which is what caused us to have the fuel saving at the end. Some drivers staying out for the whole race, saving all that fuel, but of course it was Gunnarson who just unfortunately came up a little bit short, and he is down in P33 as it stands in car number 33 as well after a long stop, so he must have had some damage on those opening few laps.
A couple of stats, by the way, before we get back going again. That was the longest green flag run from the end of Iowa to the start of this race since the Pocono race, which was fairly interrupted by cautions, so not really that very long, to be honest, only just over 100 kilometres. And we're now past 450 kilometres behind the pace car this season, which, to put that in context, we're approaching 2,500 for the season, so nearly a fifth of the laps have been under caution.
That is crazy when you start saying it like that, but yes, it is true. We've had a few cautions so far this season, and they have been quite influential actually with how some of the races have been decided. But as ever in these races, is 153 laps. The first 100 on laps is just keeping yourself in the pack towards the front. And we are going to go again. The Kör Vänster by MH eRACING is going to get underway after the first caution has come out. The 37 gets us going. It's a slow start once again for the 95. 2 starts in a row. And he's going to lose another place, this time to his teammate, the number 1 of Hafliderson, who should have that inside line. It might be Peter Helmbro actually in the 77 who's going to follow him through, but maybe not, as the 95 carries that speed on that outside line and should follow his teammate down the back straight.
Yeah, this one perhaps more understandable because he's not in control of when we start, but first time round he was, so that was weird how he lost those positions early on. But now it's a little bit more understandable. He's still on the outside line here of Peter Helmbro. Needs to be aggressive to hold on to this place, but once he gets clear, I'd imagine he will go down to the low side as we end another lap under green. He does indeed get to the low side and they get single file inside the top 5.
At least for the top few is looking good, but we are side by side a little bit further back as drivers still trying to find their way and find their space on the track. We go to the 24 of Eracingligan down the inside. He's trying to go of the 10. That's Holmbom. He had a 10-point penalty in the previous race, the most of anyone after a couple of incidents there that he unfortunately got involved in. But he's up there inside the top 10 once more. Forsen still trying to make some moves. He has lost a couple of places so far. He was batting up to 31 points, now back down to 5th, and Helm is trying to get the run on him.
Yeah, he's currently running in at 6th place now after Forsen's overtake. Look at the single file going on in the background there. In the top 20 or so, they've really got this figured out early on. Let's just ride for these first 100 laps or so and then get on with the racing a little bit later on. But not everybody seems to quite agree on that, especially down the back. Stu and Reinbach seem to be already out of the race, unfortunately, after their opening 10 laps incident.
Oh, that's a shame for both of them. And yeah, they've been in the pit lane for 6 minutes now. That's not ideal as Forsen's making moves once more. Got the 55. He's now got the 77 up into 4th place. He's looking fast, and look how concentrated he is on the camera as well. He's really focused and using the confidence that he's got. He's into the wall though, and so is someone ahead. That must have been Hafliderson in 2nd place, also into the wall. So the exit of 4, and that's actually cost him to lose a place. But the exit of 4 being trouble already in these first few laps.
Yeah, Helmbro having to get around the outside of him now as a result of that. Forsen has been in the wall again and again and again, though. He's really got to be careful, not least for the bodywork, but actually he's hitting it so hard at the moment he might be knocking his suspension out of line as well if he's not too careful. So really got to be more careful than he is being at the moment as Forsen, to be honest. As Helmbro goes round the outside, he does get that 4th place, and now Helm is on the outside as well in this battle for 5th.
Now, I really do love how this track flows. It's such a fast track, but the corners still a little bit tight at the same time. So it really has that good balance of not over pushing in the corners. The 27 is trying to just block off the 55 of Helm. He goes wide to carry some more speed. That opens the door for Helm to come down the inside line. Their lines are going to come across each other on the exit of 4 where everyone goes up into the wall. They avoid the wall this time. Almost enough door banging as they come through the tri-oval and in towards turn number 1. It looks like Peter Helmbro is getting away as these two focus on each other.
There was just a little bit of contact there on the straight, but Forsen is still stuck up on the outside line there. He's going to have the run hit on the exit, but still stuck side by side really with Helm. You can get a little bit stuck around here battling with someone else, but again, the driver up high will be burning through their tyres a lot more than the driver on the low side. So as the run continues on, you'd expect to see Forsen fade away slightly, but this battle's surely not going to go on for that amount of time. It is going to end at some point, just not at the moment. They're still going into 1 or 2.
Yeah, great racing between the two. It's bringing Oliver Bohlin in the 72 machine for Movistar Esports in behind, but for now looks like Forsen's just going to have his nose ahead. Is it enough to cut down? No, it's not. So the 55 keeps it down towards the apron. It comes up a little bit wide, though. It's not the best racing line. He turned it a little bit too early. Came up high mid-corner, 3 wide on the exit. Wallin's trying to find a space as he goes across the stripe. Has to back out of that one.
Yeah, went over the grass there, the painted grass, and so had to back out before causing a crash. Yeah, it wasn't a great line from Helm, unfortunately, into 3 and 4 last time round, just a little bit early on the turn-in into 3. And if you're clipping the blue line on the inside line there a bit too early, then you are on the wrong line. You want to sort of take a smooth curve, if you like. You do want to get down to the blue line, just kiss it slightly if you are running the low side, but you don't want to be smacking it so early as Helm was last time round. Just seemed to be slightly knocked back by that as well, and Bohlin is bringing a whole load of other contenders up to this battle as well.
Yeah, such a momentum-based category of racing, really. If you just start going backwards a little bit, it takes a couple of laps to get that mile per hour back up, and unfortunately, he is just going to lose another position. Bohlin's going to go right round the outside. We have to look in the background. We've got Dylan Platt, who's making up some places there in P8. He's got Holmbom Aronson in behind as well, looking very strong. Of course, Platt getting up onto the podium on debut last time as well in his first event in this championship. So really great start for the AKA team as they work their way in towards this championship. We go a bit further back in the pack, and Hagström's having a big battle in behind him.
It certainly is. There's all sorts going on back here, and this is why there's such a big gap up in front of them here. The field getting pretty stretched out, considering we're quite early on in this run now, and it's because of stuff like this. Side by side through 3 and 4 again here. On the low side is the 84, looking for a run on the exit, and has got it on the way down towards turn 1. This is Tony Ubernen for 13th place, and he is through. So he's been making some good progress here early on. Up 10 places now.
This is great stuff indeed, and what a battle. What's that, 6 cars all nose to tail going side by side at times as well, really trying to find their way through. That's a great start to this race. We're on to lap 22, stage lap 65. So as they're all following each other up into the wall. That's a big hit there, unfortunately, for Moten. He's going to drop back. Gantz gets through in that 38 machine, and that just shows you how easy it is to go up and down these places.
It certainly is, especially when it's so close like this, as it is up here as well for 5th place, you could say. Forsland is now back behind Bohlin again, and Helm is back on the back of Forsland. That's Dylan Platt on the low side in the 23, with Cedric Holmbom on his outside, although Alexander Aronson moves forward to the inside line now as Holmbom gets very, very loose there indeed on the outside line. That's going to give Aronson at 9th place now.
This is all getting held up a little bit after that battle between Bohlin and Forsland. They're obviously slowing down, and it's just pushing everyone a bit closer together. Look how close they are. I mean, it's really a car length at best in between all of these machines at the back end of the top 10, and they are flying through these corners as well. Platt once again goes a little bit wide. Is that going to open up the door for 24 to get through? Not quite enough, but this is really pressure time for these drivers to not make a mistake, otherwise 3-4 cars are coming past you.
Yeah, especially in these large groups. Side by side again here for Platt, who has been knocked back a little bit in these last couple of moments, but he's starting to move back forward again now, up to 7th place with a pretty clean move around the outside. That's a 2nd place gains now for Dylan Platt from his starting position of 9th, and Helm makes sure that it's only Platt that goes through. Aronson there with his nose cut off.
Certainly is. As we come back to the front, the battles are continuing. Half a second covers the top 3, but it's really a two-way fight at the front. Hafliderson is looking very racy against his old nemesis Ericsson. Remember last season, Ericsson won the regular season championship and then just couldn't put a playoff run together to get the championship. He ended up, of course, in the championship 5 in the final race, but it was Hafliderson who came out on top at Homestead, Miami. Let's see what happens this year. Hafliderson looking very calm and controlled as it stands. Doesn't look to be stressing too much, as he's just trying to put some pressure on the 37.
He is, and he's got to be just keeping an eye on what's going on behind him as well, with Eric Blix closing in. So interesting here that these 3 are getting closer again now. It just feels rather different now that we've got all these new drivers back into the series all over again, because at times Jesper Ericsson was running away pretty dominantly actually with some of these races. Now he is really severely challenged by the likes of Blitzen and Blix. And if you think about it, if a few weeks ago, these guys weren't here, who would be challenging Ericsson? It would be a couple of seconds lead probably for him at the moment. So it is great to have them here challenging as they are.
Absolutely a great re-addition to the championship, and of course it's not looking great for Morby Bright Esports at this moment in time. I mean, Aronson is down in P9. Of course they do have Bohlin up in P5, but Aronson, Broström, they're sort of lead drivers there. Not quite where they would have wanted. Broström has made his way back up into 18th place. Aronson has made a move for 8th, so they are working their way forward, but is the gap going to be too big to the 37 and the 1? We'll have to find out as this green flag run continues on to lap number 29 of 1. 1:53. The battle's inside the top 10. Ray John, but in behind, this is Linus Brustrom for Morby Bright Esports, still trying to make his way through the pack.
Yeah, just backing off at the moment. Well, I thought he was going to. He's coming through the field indeed. 14 places gained already, and now looking for a 15th as well. Looking down the inside here and should be getting the place, maybe. Yes, he will on the inside line. It took a little bit of time, but he's made it on the inside line and he's through up into 17th place. So Linus Brostrom moving on forward. We are about halfway now in the opening stage. Lap 65 is when the points will be allocated for the top 10. So we are, I'll say about halfway now, and people will be looking at fuel and whether they can make it there or not.
And in terms of tyre drop-off, we're about 1.2 to 1.5 seconds off the pace already from the fastest laps. That is crazy, considering we've had a caution as well. That will save the tyres just a little bit, but really big drop-off in these Xfinity cars that we've swapped to. It's actually been one of the biggest improvements compared to last season as well, is how the tyres drop off, and you really have to be careful with them and sort of have the ability to have speed at the end of the stint. It's quite a big change compared to last year, where we had the next gen car, of course, as the battle continues on at the front. Blick's not really getting involved though.
Not really. I think it's a good idea, to be honest, in the first 20% of this race or so, just to hang back a little bit, see what goes on up ahead, and then act accordingly afterwards. But there's no reason to get involved, really. 2 seconds back to Peter Helbro. That gap's only growing. Blunson and Ericsson aren't fighting, so by staying behind, he's not shooting himself in the foot by any means here. Yeah, Eric Blick. So it's a good place to be, I think, in number 95 at the moment. He's probably saving fuel. He's definitely saving tyres, and he's just sat there waiting for later on, saving himself for later. I think it's a good place to be.
Oh, definitely. And Blix, of course, a very successful driver in this championship, knows what he is doing, as we see one of his teammates, actually, well, a couple of his teammates. So that's the 140 of Salander. In behind is the 33 of Gunnarsson. Of course, they've all got the same livery, but different colours. Very easy to spot who is who, as the 33 works his way back up to try and get a bit higher. He was down in something like P35 when we had that first caution, and he's made his way back up into P22, so he's certainly doing a good job, one by one getting up the way. The issue is he's already 10.5 seconds. There's a third of a lap around here off the lead.
That's Pontus Nogren, but getting through on Patrick Pfeffer, is it? Or is that different battle? I think it's probably different, isn't it? But there you go. Patrick Pfeffer, by the way, is all the way down at the moment in outside the top 20. Where is he? He's 29th. The reason I bring him up, by the way, he's still the best placed driver to have not scored any stage points yet. He's 14th in the points. He's teetering on the edge of making it on points, and to be honest, he could really do with getting in the top 10 in the first half of these races, because he's finishing okay, but he just needs some of these stage points to maybe just push him over the line. At the moment, he is only 16 points above that cut line for 15th place, of course, where you make it on points or you don't.
Exactly. In some ways, the stage points seem a bit insignificant. It's 10 for the win, but then going down to 1 place for 10th. But as you say, a couple of points may be what's settles it. We do have a tie at the front of the championship between Ericsson and Brostrom, so you never know if that point or a couple of points might be the all-important one. Indeed, by the time we get towards the end of this championship, is going to be I mean, this season goes quick, as that is into the wall there for the 200 of Pfeffer, and that might allow Lundberg to get down the or Skoglund, I should say, to get down the inside, and maybe even another car. I think that's Bjorn Brostrom trying to find his way through.
It's quite a long way back, Bjorn Brostrom, but he made a stop in that caution, so that's why he's so far down. Part of eRACING, of course, who are sponsoring this race. Number 41, Bjorn Brostrom, now up to 30th. He did qualify 35th, so he's technically up, but it's more the pit stop that's seeing him down here, really. You expect to see him just float his way through the order, especially in these next 30 laps as we get towards the stage break.
Yes, we certainly do. It will come around thick and fast indeed. It's stayed a bit status quo inside the top 10 for now. I think we get into that point where the tyres are dropping and people are unable to push in the same way we saw in the first few laps of both the original start and then the restart after the caution. We saw the likes of the 27 of Forslund. He was very aggressive, getting himself up into third place. There's the 607 up into the wall. That is not the ideal situation to be in. There's a Nordgren. He loses a couple of places there. But you see the drivers just struggling a little bit as the stint goes on. They can't push as hard as they can with the new tyres.
No, it's a real bouncing act you've got to strike as Oliver Bohlin gets down the inside of Peter Helmbro here for 4th place. This is a battle that I didn't see coming, to be honest. Bohlin was quite a long way back from Helmbro, but he's caught up rather quickly, and now they are battling over 4th place, and they're not that far away, by the way, from a bit of lap traffic here. We've already got a couple of drivers who are running around many laps down, but traffic is around over 2/3 of the way behind the leaders now, so expect to see them having to pick some people off by the end of the stage. They certainly will be able to see those up ahead of them.
That always gets a little bit awkward. So hopefully the drivers are very nice to each other indeed as Bohlin. I mean, I did think he was sliding there with the angle that he was compared to the blue line, but he was able to catch up, and that just shows you it's really the rear tyres that start to go on this car, as we're seeing some pit stops already, at least drivers exiting the stop. So definitely a few drivers still having a few issues here or there. We are seeing the top 14 people in this race still not stopped.
Yes, we are seeing the first coming through as Dan Holmer at the moment. He's 15th place, the Bristol race winner. Of course, he is 4th in the standings at the moment, Holmer, and he's just slowly making his way through the field past some drivers who haven't stopped yet. So are those going to be the ones who take the stage win and so on? Or will these guys make it home? There is a possibility if you're fuel saving your way all the way home. There is Holmer. He's just got past Cedric Holmbaum, another of those drivers who stayed out under that first caution. Then Hackenschott, who's following Holmer through. He's on the same strategy as Holmer there. Then Linus Brostrom, who also stopped. Daniel Solo, Hagman, Lundberg, Salander and Gunnarsson. All of those stopped, and they're all in a queue basically trying to come through.
We don't have full confirmation whether tyres were taken or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was 2 tyres taken for those drivers, because the 10 is going backwards. I mean, what's that, about 4 or 5 places he's lost? Look at the absolute freight train. What's about 5 cars that are just about to go past him in the next lap or 2? This is absolutely crazy, just the speed difference that we're seeing between these drivers. There's Hagman who's going to go through, Salander, Gunnarsson as well. I think it's Lundberg on the outside, all trying to get through. That's going to be about 8 places lost for the 10.
As Holmbaum is really wary as to where to put his car at the moment as well, because you don't want to get run over by one of these guys. You'll find yourself in the wall, and there are very few small crashes around Charlotte. We've already seen some of those. Sebastian Tidmo's out on the circuit, by the way, 28 laps down because of damage from earlier on. He spent over a quarter of an hour in the pit lane. You can find yourself a very, very long way down with an incident here. So that's why Holmbaum was maybe a bit timid in defending his place, because he didn't want to end up in a crash.
Yes, potentially. Indeed, one of those drivers to get through was the good 013 of Marcus Stiller from the back. He's gone up 18 places so far, so let's see how many more he can get before the end of the night. Of course, still just 100 or so laps to go in this race, and 20 before the stage break. Well, it's not even a break. We stay green, of course, in this championship, where we go and get the extra 10 points for the winner, as it looks like it's going to be a battle between Ericsson and, I was about to say, Hefflison, but he's dropped back. Hefflison is now into 3rd place, Blix up into 2nd.
I wonder whether Hefflison was maybe driving out of himself, if you like, to try and stay with Ericsson, and now that's just catching up with him because we're 45 laps in here, whereas Eric Blicht has just been driving within himself a little bit more. He's been able to get past Hefflison, which you can't imagine was too difficult, and then he's trying to chase down Ericsson. I think those two at the top now are probably more likely to battle over the race win, really, than Hefflison, who, it's Max the wall out of 4 there.
I wonder if that's how he lost the place initially, and that was definitely a big hit. He hit it with the rear end as well, so that's the rear end sliding. It brought the front in, so he's got to be careful not to do too much more damage to that number 1 machine, otherwise he won't have the speed to even hold on into 3rd place. There's a big train of cars coming behind, being led by Oliver Bohlin.
It certainly is. And they're not really getting any closer to the leader, but they are getting closer to Hefflison, which is the important part there. Dylan Platt's making some good progress here, by the way, in this group. Probably the best of anyone. He's up to 5th place now in the 23. He's ahead of the 24. Aronson, who's just back to where he started. And Helmbro maybe have gone out a bit too hard, because he's going backwards now. Edwin Forsell likewise, but Forsell seems to be going backwards less quick than than Helbro is, so they're sort of converging there. This is what happened in the past. I suspected it was a giving over of the place, and it looks like it was.
Yes, so Hafley just decided he didn't quite have the speed to keep on pushing up towards Ericsson, so he's let his teammate through. I'm sure they are in very much good communication terms throughout the race, especially the amount of drivers that they have on this field. Communication is very, very important indeed. So yeah, I'm sure they both knew what was going on there. Nothing too important or crazy to worry about as such. Kintier jumps up inside the top 10 for Bright Esports in the 49. He gets past Dan Paples. That is a position that he started in. He's gained 3 places, I should say. But obviously having a good run of it so far in that 47 machine. He had a good run a couple of races ago as well. Certainly coming strong in this championship as we get to this midpoint.
Yeah, Kenneth hasn't scored any stage points since Talladega. I wonder whether he can achieve that here tonight with still 17 to go until that stage. I know we keep calling it a stage break. There is no break. We're just used to saying that. Just in case you've never seen this series before, we do stay green, which is the better way to do it, by the way. We get to lap 65, we give out the point, but we carry on racing. We have the long green flag run. Fuel should go about 60 laps, but 58 to 60 laps. However, we've had a caution so far, so maybe extend that by another couple. But I'm still sceptical about whether these leaders can actually make it without a stop, which has got to be coming soon if there is no yellow.
And of course, those who stopped at the caution, they will have enough fuel to get there. And that is being led by Linus Broström in 14th place as it stands. So of course, if we're at a green flag pit stop situation, he will jump to the front. So don't count out the 71 to be getting this stage win if the drivers at the front can't save the fuel. It's not really the best track in that regard, to be honest.
No.
But let's see if they are able to do some magic. We did see them go very, very long in Iowa, indeed way further than the expectations, but of course a short track compared to a 1.5 miler.
Yeah, lots of lifting off around there, a bit less around here, but someone like Alexander Alton maybe has been thinking about this. He's not really had his nose in the wind very much. He's been stuck behind people if they're battling or if he's in their slipstream. I reckon he's just been lifting off, 3/4 throttle down the straights, just coasting through the corners much as possible. He's pushing there to try and get past Dylan Platt, it looks like. But, these drivers who are in battles a little bit more certainly have better chance to save the fuel than the likes of Ericsson and Blicht, although they're so far up front, they may well be slowing down sufficiently to save fuel. We just don't know at the moment. Platt and Bohlin, meanwhile, go side by side right behind Havlicen. They're almost fighting over who's the first to pass the number one.
Wow, the 23 pushing the one mid turn 2 there. Crazy stuff as 2 more be Bright Esports down the inside line, but Hafley blocks him off. There's Oliver Wallen trying to make the move. He's actually kept his nose in. This is great aggressive driving. The 24, his teammates going to be pushing him as we come through the tri-oval. It might be a bit of a freight train from the 2 Bright Esports who should go to the front of this pack. I don't think the one is going to be able to hold on too much. Wallen trying to block him off there on the outside line, but the one is going very, very high, trying to get the run on the exit. I just don't think he's got the tyre grip to bring it down, and he certainly does not.
And these guys, by the way, costing themselves about 2 seconds compared to their best lap times. Part of that is tyre drop-off. Part of it, of course, is the battling. Peter Helmbro saw it going on ahead of him and said, I'm coming into pit lane. And so that's exactly what he's done. The first of the top 10 to come in and make a scheduled green flag stop.
It's not always a bad idea if you realise now you can't make it to the stage, go in early, get an undercut, and those who pit in 10 laps time at the stage, you will be many seconds up ahead and have that track position. So it's not a bad idea, but of course, green flag pit stops compared to if a caution comes out could obviously change things around depending exactly where we are in the cycle. The 2 Morby Bright Sports go side by side, the 24 up the inside. There's Aronson versus Wallen. They work their way to get through. More drivers in the pit lane. Ericsson, Blixt at the front, Helm as well. So obviously being out front, they weren't able to save the fuel.
Yeah, and seeing those behind, I think there's a good idea for those guys to come in, try and cut your losses. Helmbro, by the way, came out down in 31st, a lap down, so they've got to be concerned about that as well. There goes Ericsson into his box, just ahead of Blix. They both make it in without having to reverse. That's more difficult than you might expect. They'll take 4 tyres here and a load of fuel as well, hoping to cut this race into 3 parts if it stays green right the way home.
And that will, of course, save a set of tyres as well for later in the race if we get a late caution. So not a bad strategy indeed, but as you say, going a lap down is really where this strategy could hinder them should cautions come out. So that has left Aronson out in the lead in the 24, Bohlin in behind, and then we got Hafley a couple of seconds further back. He is still out there as the race, of course, continues on closer and closer to that lap 65 stage, and we still need to work out who has the chance of winning that one. Broström is now up into P6, the first of the drivers who stopped earlier.
And look at this, the 37 making its way through on the inside line there. That was Jesper Eriksson. He's alongside Haflidason, who's third. So there's all sorts of people on all sorts of different laps going on at the moment. And it's a pretty difficult race to read. The top four, though, still haven't come into pit lane. Can they make it these final 8 laps? I would be very, very sceptical indeed.
Yes, wouldn't be surprised, but let's see how this one unfolds. The racing is certainly heating up as you have these difference in tyres now. This is where it gets a little bit crazy in some ways, as you have all the different strategies. So we're looking at a Salander. He's got Holmer in front of him. They are on basically the same strategy. Gunnarsson is up ahead as well. He had a massively longer stop. Of course, it was under the caution, so he didn't really lose out so much, just went to the back of the line, and they're trying to chase them down up inside the top 10. Gunnarsson has made up 21 places. Broström up in 5th has made up 27 since the start.
Fantastic gains by some of these guys early on. This is exactly what you get from this kind of racing, especially from Broström as well, to be fair. He's quite good at that kind of thing. Now 29 as he makes positions from Tyr, and Aronson up ahead. He's now up to 3rd place. Is he on his way possibly to a stage win, his 2nd of the season? That would be a remarkable story from down in, what, 32nd on the grid?
Yes, that would be quite crazy, but it's so weird in when it comes to caution comes out. Lap 59, wow. Caution comes out. We will get back to green before the stage, but how is this going to affect things? There's still a few drivers who need to stop, such as Bohlin and Haflidason. We've got some drivers a lap down, such as Aronson, Tyr, Platt, Forsland.
But there are some drivers who will stay out here. A lot of drivers. So this is what happened. The 10 caught up on the outside there of a bit of a mess, really, on the outside up into the wall, sort of a typical sort of crash you'd see around here. So, 19 on the lead lap at the moment, just to finish my point. There will be some who stay out on the lead lap, so it's not going to be possible for some of these guys to get a wave around.
But that was the 43 of Joel Wallen going for a spin behind the pace truck. Don't often see that. And that contact that caused the caution was the 72, your race leader, getting contact, drivers laps down, getting involved, just showing you the difference in speed. And of course, he has to come down pit lane at this point. But this is going to change things just a little bit. Broström actually follows them through, because I guess it's one of the situations where everyone is going to come down. So this is the 72. Got the 607 going up the inside of the race leader, trying to unlap themselves effectively, and contact is made, and it's actually the 607 that will bring out the caution, going to the 90 degrees to the track.
Yeah, so that's not great. It's always a contentious subject, unlapping yourself from the race leader, and indeed it has been on that occasion as well. So as I mentioned, there will be some drivers who stay out under this caution, and 4 have. Jonas Skoglund wants to try and get these points, and fair play to him for that. Jesper Eriksson goes through though, so does Erik Blicht and Alexander Aronson. It means that very few drivers will get a wave around here. In fact, I'm trying to work out quite who is going to get a wave around. I'm not sure what Jonas Skoglund's doing on the outside actually at the moment. I've really got no idea what's going on. It's a bit of a mess, but it will sort itself out, hopefully. Although it didn't at Iowa, so, we'll pray.
I think it's just a little bit confused with where the order is. But so for Broström, if he stayed out, he would have had the lead, but then he'd be on the older tyres. So it's probably a good choice to come in. It's cost him the track position, but he's still net gained up to P7 from P32 from the grid. So Broström is having a great run and playing his strategy cards very well. Hafley has lost some places, of course. He's now down to P6 after running in 2nd place as it stands. And I think we got a situation here where it's actually the drivers ahead need to go past because they are a lap down.
Yeah, so Tier 4s and Helmbro are going to get the wave around here onto the lead lap, and maybe some others who are multiple down as well. Can't quite see to the left-hand side of our cameras at the moment, but of course in the old days of NASCAR, about 20 years ago, those guys who were on the lead lap but not quite past the pace car would just start the race. We don't do that anymore because that would be madness. But it's going to be Skoglund who will start from the very front. And indeed, those guys have now gone past. So we'll have 23 on the lead lap, including most of those who are inside in fact, all of them who are inside the top 10 through the majority of that opening longer green flag run.
And now basically everyone has stopped for what we need to know, apart from Skoglund. So the 83 at the front there, he's staying out. He's going to have 3 laps to hold on to try and get some points inside the top 10, but he's going to get freight trained. Everyone is just going to be coming past him on those older tyres. They're going to be 2+ seconds a lap faster. I doubt he's going to be able to hold on, but it's worth a try. Let's see what he can do. We've got Ericsson, Blix, they're on 7-lap old tyres, Aronson on 3, and then everyone else has just stopped. So there's a little bit of a mixture. If we go for a long green flag run here, Ericsson and Blix are going to struggle to hold on, but the stage points are certainly coming, and the Kör Vänster by MHE Racing has been a very interesting start so far. A second caution comes out just laps before the stage, a lap 65, and we're going to get underway once more here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Skoglund on the old tyres gets us going. What a start from the 90.
Oh, no!
He's in front of the leaders. He goes around, and that is going to be a caution coming straight back out. He didn't have the speed, he had the grip in the tyres to get going.
He didn't. We saw him there trying his very best to hang on as much as possible to the lead of this race right the way to the very end of the stage, but he's not able to. And there's been a lot of contact with those behind as well. Jesper Eriksson may have a bit of front-end damage as a result of this.
Yeah, this is not great. This is what we saw in Iowa, and it caused an absolute mess of the restart because of when the caution came out and who was ahead of the start-finish line or not. So he gets away very well. He was able to get the lead. He just spun it up on his own. I mean, there was no contact there around. That is Marcus Stiller, unfortunately, making some contact. Couldn't quite see some of the other drivers. Yeah, just completely spun up the tyres. They were not ready to get the full horsepower.
The problem was, part of the problem, he started through the quad oval. So instead of waiting until right the way he got round the restart zone, or even just angling his car to be honest in a straight line, he was ever so slightly turning at the point of accelerating. This is what Linus Broström saw. Look at the way he sort of round this bend here, halfway around this bend, and then he spins up the rear tyres because they're so old, and he just crashes in front of everybody. Broström takes to the grass to avoid, and many others did too.
Championship mindset there for Broström. Just get out of the way. It looks like we have been able to find the pace truck. Got some drivers going down pit road. Solo, Broström, Skoglund, Stiller, Eriksson, Pfeffer, Nordgren, all there. And that is just messy. I think the 24 and the 37 really got away with that one. That could have been so much worse.
It really could have been. Unfortunately, some didn't get away with it down the back of the field. Pontus Nordgren is still in the pit lane from the previous caution, by the way, but there's long stops here for Marcus Stiller and Jonas Skoglund, as you'd expect. This is what Aronson saw. He's a lucky boy as well, although there would have been some side-to-side sort of scraping contact with Jesper Eriksson. They should get away with that. It looks like some of the others haven't been quite so lucky, though. Björn Broström's having quite a long stop as things stand as well. Robert Eriksson's in for a while. Patrick Pfeffer as well as the ones I've already mentioned. Quite a few have picked up a bit of damage here.
I'd have loved to see Jesper's expression on his face when he had the 83 sliding in front of him. But we are on lap 65, so it doesn't matter that we are under caution. We will be getting the stage at the end of this lap. Just a couple of corners to go. Eric Blix will take the victory with Bohlin, Eriksson, Aronson, Havlinson, Broström, Slander, Gunnarsson, Schott, and Holmer rounding out your top 10 as the stage will come to an end. And now we are fully focused on the next sort of part of the race. We have, of course, onto the second set of tyres already. They will have a couple more if we get cautions at the specific time later on in the day.
stage points of the season. They might be, but I've not quite worked it out yet. So it's pretty easy to work out. There they go. I've awarded them now. Effectively, this is a bit more like real life, where the points have effectively been awarded under caution, and we've had a stage break effectively here. So what we've got afterwards is 21 drivers on the lead lap now. Many a lap down, actually. There'll be a big fight for the free pass here between Janis Leppert, Dan Peppels, Timo Wurdebar, Oscar Motin and Nicholas Helm. Some of those were running quite up towards the front in the early part of this race, and then a number of others who are 2 and more laps down as well. Plenty of drivers in the pit lane right now as well, though I don't believe any other retirements other than Schuren Reinbach, who retired after that opening caution of the day.
So what a treat it is to have Alcantech back in the championship as well. We've got Blixt up there leading the way, getting the stage victory on just their third race back after the doubleheader at Iowa. We've got the one of Hafliderson, we've got Salander, we've got Gunnarsson there, all inside the top 10, and they are really bringing it. We've got the Morby Bright Esports trio on the outside. They can work together and push each other. Ericsson's a little bit alone. His nearest teammate is a bit too far back really to do anything. He's got Holmer there as well. So we really have 3 of the biggest teams in the championship up towards the front. Lap 66, Pace Truck comes in. The 95 is going to take us back to the green flag as we get underway for the Vishal Vanster by MHE Racing once more here in the floodlights of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Great start from the 95, much better than the start of the race. And let's see how this one goes in towards turns 1 and 2. Wallin is a bit slower, so the 37 is going to have to push him through the corner, but they are on newer tyres, so that should be okay as we get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, exactly. Worth reminding everyone that Blicht and Ericsson are on the oldest tyres in the top 14 at the moment, so that could play a role, even though the amount of green flag laps they've done compared to those around them are very, very minimal on those tyres. It could play something later on. Ericsson immediately going around the outside. He wants to get onto the back of Blicht because those two were the fastest 2 in the opening part of this race. If that remains again, Ericsson wants to be right there behind the 95 to stay with him.
And it wasn't a good start from Broström. He's lost his teammates, and Salander as well. He's made up a couple of places, but he's dropped off from this top 5 that are really starting to pull away, and they're pushing at the front. They want to try and get a gap to that midfield, but let's see how this one goes in terms of the rear tyres. Wallin has so much front grip now. He's going down below the blue line. That's actually cost his speed on the exit of 4, maybe lifting off just a little bit. That's going to allow Aronson into 3rd place as the 24 dives it down the inside, and he's slowly working his way forward. Is Aronson. He's a bit of a dark horse for this one, I think.
Yeah, maybe. He was pretty quiet early on and actually dropped back in the actual start of this race, but in that second run he did start to grow into it a little bit, and he's now on the back of Blicht and Ericsson. And don't forget, this kind of intermediate circuit is where he's done well in the past. Won the first race of the season at Fontana, which is a sort of intermediate high-speed circuit like this one as well. Not really comparable in the way that it drives to Fontana, this one, but it is pretty high speed. And Aronson at the moment is staying with Ericsson and Blicht. Is he going to be aggressive, or is he just going to stay behind?
I think he's going to be aggressive. He's going to go down the inside. Ericsson doesn't fight it. He goes to the high line. The 24 is almost pushing the 95 as well. Already the grip is different between the pair. The 37 goes into the wall on the exit of turn 4. And look at the speed difference between the 24 of Aronson down the inside. That is just 6 laps difference between the tyres, but so much more grip. That is how big the drop-off is. We're also going to get Wallin follow through, at least try to get up into 3rd place.
Or is it just more aggression from Aronson earlier on? I'm not sure this tyre difference is very big at all between these 2 tyre sets, to be honest, but there may be a difference in the approaches of these 4 drivers at the moment. Blicht and Ericsson, knowing that they can come into things a little bit later, knowing that they might well be the 2 fastest drivers, might be taking things a little bit easier earlier on, compared to Aronson, who wants to not have a repeat of the start of this race, or at least the second run, I should say, where he dropped back to the low end of the top 10 early on. It's an interesting difference, but now that he's ahead, Eric Blicht is staying right behind Alexander Aronson.
He certainly is. These races ebb and flow as you just have to get yourself into a position at some point. But it's pretty crazy how they all want to get to the front as early on as they can. And it's pretty crazy stuff. As we're almost getting to halfway in this race. Lap 76 will be that marker. Just a couple more rounds to go. And good news for the MHE Racing fans. Your man, Marcus Hogman, is up into P7. He's made some good moves at the start of this next part of of the race at number 12, of course, sponsoring today's race, and he's up there in P7.
On board with him through 3 and 4. The team that bears his name, of course, he's leading them at the moment as far as this race goes. Over the line in 7th place again. Marcus Hogman at the moment is 6th place in the point standings, the top driver of those who have not won any races so far this season. So he's in a relatively comfortable place as far as making it on points goes, but you always would get a little bit nervous if you've not got that win.
Absolutely. It's difficult to get the wins though, so that's always the tricky part. We do see a few random winners every now and again. For instance, at this track last season we had Dan Holmer take victory, and he actually got a back-to-back. I believe it was in at Atlanta. I think we went Charlotte, Atlanta back-to-back. He was able to do so. In the background, Oliver Wallin's going past Eracingligan not able to keep up with these top two. We are getting a little bit of a breakaway for these top few. In the background as well, we've seen a move. I think it was Haflis and Salander maybe going side by side as the battles are going very nicely indeed. We are coming on to lap 76, so we're halfway into this race.
Very interesting indeed that Ericsson is falling back here in the first part of this race. We are, let's say, about halfway now, so this is not the time to be starting to move backwards, and Haflison's not going to pull any punches now. He's back into the game again with some new tyres that he probably went a bit hard on in the early part of the race, but he's going hard again here. He's up to 4th place. That was decisive from the driver of the number 1.
Yeah, and this is looking very nicely indeed for those on, well, actually one's on all tyres at this moment in time, but it depends with what your fastest lap is. For instance, Ayrton, he's only 4/10 off his fastest lap, but his fastest lap is probably about another 3/10 slower than some other people, so it depends what speed you've had all day. But the tyres just slowly dropping down. Against Salander now, going up the inside. Ericsson's really going backwards. I'm surprised to see this from the 37, so dominant in so many races in this championship, but just a handful of laps potentially on those tyres, and maybe a bit of saving fuel-wise as well. Maybe just making sure he can get one stop to the end without any issues, but he's going backwards. He's now down to P6.
Well, he should be able to make it home on one more stop anyway, to be honest with you, but either way, he is dropping back right now and seems to be struggling. Marcus Hogman is the one next in the queue, and he's looking up the inside now into 3 and 4 as well. Pretty concerning for Jesper Eriksson here. I mentioned it earlier on, you do want a bit of track position around this circuit. It's not quite like Martinsville, but you know, or Bristol or whatever, but it's not the widest circuit in the world. And surely he can't be affording to lose as many positions as he is at the moment. This is a puzzling time for Jesper Eriksson. Is it that damage he picked up on that previous restart that's now starting to rear its head? Yes,
that is a good point. Actually, there was a big bit of contact there, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is a bit slow. We had this at a previous race as well. There's one of the super speedways, I think, where he had the damage and he just wasn't able to hold on to that, as all the way around the outside of turn 4 goes Linus Broström, and the two championship rivals, they are side by side on the track. They're side by side in the standings, equal on points, leading the way coming into this race. 3 wins for Ericsson, 1 win for Broström, but it's a 71 who takes the lead of that battle, and Gunnarsson goes round him like he's standing still, as Skoglund now is trying to get involved too, or at Lundberg I should say.
Yeah, Skoglund is still down at the back and seems to be out the race, it seems at the moment, in towards 3 and 4. Lundberg goes through on the inside line, Gunnarsson already having done so. And Jesper Eriksson now is only just clinging on to a top 10 position. This is bizarre stuff, as Bohlin now is under pressure from Eric Blicht having just gotten through. It's Eriksson and Bohlin now leading the way. I don't believe personally this is all down to the tyres. There's only 6 laps difference after all in the tyres of these guys. It is surely something more worrying than that for Jesper Eriksson especially.
Indeed, it's funny how these races go. Indeed, it's now looking very, very strong up towards the front for Morby Bright Esports. Hulkenberg in behind in that 3rd place, and even 4th, even 5th, as they got 3 cars in there. And it's now not quite looking so good for SimRace Sweden, who of course dominated the IndyCar Road Course Series that we had that finalised last week with Forsen winning, and Forsen is now down into 12th place there for the SimRace Sweden entry. Back towards Ericsson though, and he's just going backwards and backwards in this race so far. I wouldn't be surprised if he's looking to let some of his teammates through. He's got a few, he's got Forsen, he's got Holmer, Fredriksson not too far behind him.
Yeah, he probably won't make it too difficult for his teammates, but it's very difficult for him to make it difficult for anybody as things stand the way he's going. He pulls up high. Forsen, I don't think, was quite expecting that, and he pulls up quite high as well, so that's a bit awkward between the two of them. Now Forsen surely will have got the idea as Dylan Platt closes in behind as well. He's got to be careful, Forsen, that Platt doesn't get to the inside, and there you go. Forsen will now get through. That was purposely made easy by his teammate.
Absolutely, as there was not much fighting there. Platt is going to work his way through for AK Hero on the inside in that 23 entry, looking to be a very strong driver in this championship and coming through nicely so far in this race. I really can't work out the 37 though, because Blixt is on the same strat and he's up there in P3 holding on, so it must be the damage that is on the front of that car, just not able to hold the speed where he wants it.
Exactly, that's why I suggested the damage, to be honest, compared to the tyres, because you're right, Blixt is holding his own up there, and I personally believe he's just dropped in behind those two because that's the way he prefers to drive in these earlier stages, just in behind somebody else, saving a bit of fuel, saving a bit of tyres. But Ericsson here is struggling. There goes Holmer on the inside line now in the 79. He also moves up a place. That's for 13th. Jesper Ericsson now down 12 on the day.
Yeah, this is not looking good. Of course, it's just a phase of the race. We still have another pit stop. You never know when the cautions comes out. Maybe that will give him some extra time to get some repairs on that 37 machine. But for your championship leader, he is certainly going backwards at this point of the race, as we're on to lap 86 of 153. We go to Linus Broström in the into the 71, I should say. He's working his way forward very nicely in this race. He's got Marcus Hogman, who is looking very strong in this championship so far, especially in the opening stages, and they're batting for P6 and 7.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the group we were seeing for about 6th place earlier on, with just completely new drivers, really. Yes, like Linus Broström down the inside at the end of lap 86. Should be through here, up into 6th place. He's had to climb through the field from a very, very long way. Indeed, he would have been hoping, to be honest, that we got to the stage without that second caution, because he was in a very strong position to take the stage win if we had done, but he had to come into the pit lane with everybody else, put the new tyres on, because he knew he would have needed it at this stage. Now, passing Hogman, who did the same. He's trying to shut him out through 4, but he can't quite do it.
Oh, as this is going to allow Gunnarsson to try and get through as well, maybe. The 3 go almost 3 wide in towards turn 1. Hardman actually decides not really to defend that. He goes right up to the wall doing the Carl Larson line. Is it going to work as he comes around the corner? Yes, it is. He's got the run down the back straightaway. That defends himself from the 33, but he can't quite get to the inside. So Gunnarsson's still going to keep his nose there. And look how they ebb and flow with the inside and the outside line being faster at different points of the track. The 33 much earlier on the power though, even despite being on that inside line, and he gets through. Hogman loses 2 places in a couple of laps.
Yeah, not great for him, but I don't think he'll be too worried about that for the moment. He's still in the top 10 and still running well. This is kind of how he races, Marcus Hogman. And this is how he's up there in the points with the most of anyone who hasn't won any races this season. That is exactly how he does it. More lapped drivers up in front of them. It's number 200. Just up ahead, Patrick Pfeffer, now 6 laps down, returning after a fairly long stop. 1 minute in length and some damage after that as well. We've still got some very long stops happening down in the back of the field, by the way, but Bjorn Broström, Robert Eriksson and Jonas Skoglund have called it a day after that last caution.
Yeah, that's a shame. That is a big shame. There was a lot of contact though, and just too long really to sit in the pit lane. I guess you could try and come out and get some points a bit later on, because that could be quite important, but with the drop scores, if you haven't had a bad race so far, maybe it is just worth calling it a day. Although sometimes in these championships, keeping on going and getting those points is the way to go. We're on board now with the 27 of Forsland. He dropped down a little bit, but he's trying to work his way back up. He's got the 87 of his teammate Alto up ahead of him. They've got Dylan Platt coming in behind as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. The 27 should have the momentum on that higher line, but once again, as you get towards the next corner, is there momentum for the car on the inside? But actually, Dylan Platt, what a run there. Alto must have lifted off maybe a little bit to let his teammate through, but that's going to cause him to lose another place here.
It is outside line. Oh, squeeze, big squeeze on the exit of turn 4 there as it really narrows up. But Platt gets through on the inside line and moves up to 11th in the field now. So He's having a decent race here to start with, although he's not running in the heights that he was in the opening stint of this race, of course, where or the opening long stint, I should say, where he was inside the top 10 throughout. He's just knocking on the door of that now, though, with Edwin Forsland right up ahead of him. Forsland, the last driver inside the top 10 as things stand, but only 5 seconds off the back of the pack, so it's still very close inside the top 10, and the front three are still covered by a second, although Eric Blicht is now looking for a move on Oliver Bohlin further up.
And the tyres are slowly degrading now, definitely well over a second off the pace. Bohlin is dropping back. He's going to lose a place here to Blix. Surely up the inside is going to be for the number 95. They do have some traffic up ahead that they need to be wary of, but it looks like the 95 is coming back strong. Remember, he's on the slightly older tyres as well, but he's able to keep up with the guys at the front on about 5-6 laps newer tyres, so not too much of a difference. The 95 making it work, but of course he's been fast all day, starting from that pole position, and he gets himself there into P2. Eventually managed to slide his way fast, and they are looking very fast indeed. They got Havlicen just behind them, actually about 10-15 car lengths behind, but not quite able to hold on. So this is a great run from these guys at the front.
It certainly is. We're getting into a nice settled green flag run now. Actually, 25 laps or so have been completed. So by far not the longest we've had today. It was 48 laps the second run of this race, but we are getting a nice long run together, and I wonder whether that will mean green flag stops coming up relatively soon. The fuel will not be a concern for another 20 laps at minimum for Eric Blicht. However, will they go earlier than that? If you're still going for the splitting it into third strategy, then a third of this race is coming up in just 7 laps time.
Oh, big slide from Bohlin. We've seen that a few times through turn 4 already today. He's obviously not comfortable with that part of the circuit, and unfortunately he's just going backwards with that one, but he's completely lost Blix now, and he's starting to look in his mirrors, I'm sure, for the number 1 machine chasing him down. So definitely not as settled as he would have wanted in that Morbi Bright Sports number 72.
There's a real snap, but he saved it well on the exit of 4. This is how he did it. This is the handwork. Oh, it was going for a lot longer than we even saw, really. Big snap. You see that last couple more visible, but that was going on right throughout the corner, and that's a real concern, actually. If you're that far loose this early on, then it could be a concern, but it loose off is a bit more easy to deal with. You can just moderate your right foot a little bit more, and you should be okay.
Yeah, hopefully, but that takes a lot of concentration and a lot of patience indeed. As this is the 24th race leader, he is getting so close. He's got Wildeburg there. He's got the 138 up on his outside line. That is not what you want to do when you are leading the race at all, as that got so close. And I think Blix, I tell you what, Blix is coming for this race lead. Older tyres do not matter for him.
Absolutely not. I think he's been hanging back, to be honest, and now he's unleashing right in the very end of this stint here to really give this a proper go and try to get on terms with Harrison, but he's responding by the looks of things. These two seem to be quicker than everybody else at the moment as we get to the end of the middle third of this race. They're pulling away from the rest in this battle for the lead.
They certainly are. Forsen trying to get himself up some more positions. He's batting with Lundberg there for P9, P10. So he's slowly stepping his way forward. So it really seems some drivers are on top of the car tonight. And what we saw with Bohlin there actually kind of shows you what the car's doing at the time, but we'll get to that in a second because we are going to see this battle, of course, with Forsland as he just still tries to hold on there with Lundberg. What a run there from the 18 on that outside line. Should have it as we get in towards turn 3, but doesn't bring it down, doesn't decide to defend there from the 27, but they've got to be careful because Dylan Platt is getting a run behind too.
Yeah, he's coming in on the outside line here, looking for a way past and into the top 10 for the first time in a little while as we hit lap 100. He's a bit too high there, I think, next to the wall, but he might get the good run on the exit. Look how he just pulls to the middle here on the exit and uses the slope a little bit more. On the exit, he's going to get through. He's going to get his nose ahead. Will he get fully ahead? Yes, he pulls in front, slams the door shut into 3, and he makes his way up into the top 10 again, but Forza looks to do the same in response.
Yeah, what a run there from Dylan Platt, and to be honest, they're really not that far off some of the guys at the top as well, just 5 seconds off the lead, but really 2 and a bit of Brewstrom in that 5th place. So some good opportunities for these drivers if they keep it going. We're past the lap 100 now, of course, 101 gone, so 52 laps. Oh, big contact is made. Can they save it? Dylan Platt's going to go around. Forsen Bohlin saves it, but is that going to be the caution? Oh no, he must have saved it and not gone around. So we stay under green flag conditions. Auto gets through, but that's big contact. No, in the end, caution does fly. And therefore, this will be a good opportunity to take some messages from our partners as we work out what just happened. And the caution flag is out here. Big contact on the inside as Dan Holmer is also involved, as Dylan Platt as well. Is big contact, a big slide there from Forsen. Platt had to check up quite a lot with the 200 of Pfeffer going slowly on the outside, as we had a bit of a lapping situation and just 3-4 cars getting involved. Unfortunately, just nowhere for Holmer to go as he gets caught up in that one. It has been a very, actually been a very fun race so far. The Kör Vänster by MHE Racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're about to get back underway. Håkan Schott is at the front. We've just had the caution, of course, so pit stoppers have come out for various drivers, and it looks like Håkan Schott has, of course, stayed out. He's on older tyres. He's on 43 lap old tyres. Basically, everyone else behind him inside the top 20 has stopped, so he might get freight trained here a little bit, but he will save another set of tyres towards the end. And we are, of course, looking for the pace truck to dive in, and the 101 will take us underway once again as we get back racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Eracingligan is on the outside line. He's got his teammate ready to push him. It's a late start there from the 101, and actually, I don't know if that's on purpose, but it's almost like he's letting drivers through because he knows he's on those older tyres. The 95 gets to that inside line and will actually take the lead after sliding to third place. Having said that, the 24 is looking very strong in the exit of turn 2.
Spin for Hagman. Marcus Hagman's gone for a spin out of turn 2, but he saved it and will stay green. Oh no, he won't. Bohlin has spun to the inside 2, and Håkan Schott, I think, is dropping down the field a little bit as well. I don't think, by the way, he intentionally did that, by the way, Cam. I think he legitimately had a slide on the restart, just like Scotland did.
old tyres just don't seem to work at that speed. Just too much power in these cars. We go back onto caution once again, and this changes things. Let's see how this happened for the 12. Of course, this is your sponsor for today's race, eRACING. Round the outside is looking good so far, just loses it. That's a bit of a weird one. Always tries to come half a car length down. There's a further contact though for Bohlin, and maybe with Hafliderson, or was that on his own? No, Hafli does lose the rear end. He taps the back twice of the 72. The second one, the most significant.
Yeah, it certainly was. Bohlin, of course, already been involved in a caution today in the bringing out of the second one as Pontus Nordgren hit him. So in that occasion, he didn't spin round, but this time he certainly has, and he seems to have dropped to the very end of the lead lap. We'll see in a moment whether he has to repair any damage or whatever. By the way, don't know why Hackenschott stayed out under that last caution, to be honest. Really didn't see much benefit to that, but now he's in.
Yes, not a smart idea, and yeah, he's just going back and he's made the pit stop now, so not sure about that one. He went very, very late, but yeah, he just didn't accelerate at all. I mean, he's lost like 5 car lengths there, even more. He's lost about 15 car lengths by the time he gets to turn 1 from where he should have been. He's all good so far. This is Hagman on the outside, and he just tries to come half a car length down, maybe a little bit of dirty air crossing over, but that's all it is, showing you how on the limit these drivers are in these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It was a really unusual error, though, from Hagman, to be honest. That is turn number 2. Very unusual indeed. You don't often see that. Did a good job to save it, but he drops down to the tail end of the lead lap as well, and didn't pit that time either. I can't imagine those tyres will be feeling brilliant after that spin, to be honest, so we'll see how he gets on this restart. However, it could be difficult for him. Don't forget that most of these drivers at the front, if not all, still have another set of tyres to use later, so if there is another caution in the remaining 45 laps or so, then they do have that option.
And that is a big benefit for trying to stay out longer and save a set of tyres somehow. But you do need to be on the right tyres at the right time. So sometimes, even if it's a bit early and you don't really want to do it, if everyone else is going to new tyres, if you stay out on the old ones, you're just going to get absolutely derailed. So it's definitely a situation where you kind of have to follow the pack sometimes, and that is why we saw there everyone come in, and unfortunately for Shotty stays out, and it hasn't seemed to work. We are of course onto another lap, 108 with 153 the lap count for this Kör Vänster by eRACING. We go side by side once more as the 24 and the 95 get back to the front of the field. Of course, these cautions bring everyone back to status quo, and we go once again to see who can hold onto the tyres.
Yeah, another 4 laps under caution here. Just one note, by the way, that Bjorn Broström has been chatting to us in the meantime, but there hasn't been really an opportunity to say it. He said that his car was not possible to repair anymore, so that's why he's out the race. He did want to continue, didn't give up. I think I used the words "give up" earlier, which might have meant which might have prompted him to tell us his car couldn't be repaired, so he is out of the race, unfortunately, as a result of that. Still lots of long repairs going on down at the back of the pack, by the way, but no new retirements since we last told you about the 5 early on. In fact, Jonas Skoglund has come back into the session again to maybe see if he can carry on, but he's been in there for over half an hour now.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably gone and had his dinner, had a drink, and he's come back. He's like, oh, mechanics are almost done with the car. Let's hop back in and see if we can get some points. And there's certainly plenty of laps to do that. He's not going to get up any positions, but if he finishes the race, of course, he'll be getting those extra points. We go back to racing once more. Lap 109 we will be of the Kör Vänster by eRACING. The 24 has control of the field. It's a good restart from him. The 95 does not get the run at all. And it's going to be the one and Michael Hafliderson getting up the inside in towards turn number 1. Once again, it seems like being in third place is almost better than being in second. Side by side they go, but it's actually going to be the 95 who holds it on that outside line. Should just have enough to squeeze in front of his teammate as we continue on in the background. Everyone's getting very close between the teammates of Alto and Forsland for P7 and 8, but I think they've come out just about. And that's a big spin for Alto. Oh, he saves it. No, twice he saved it. We keep on going. I think there's tear around his outside, but somehow the caution doesn't fly.
And there's a big squeeze there on the exit as well. This might not be over yet. Alto with 2 great saves, but now he's in the mid-pack with all of those drivers 1 lap down. He's going a significantly slower speed than them, and they all weave around him to keep us green flag racing. That was rather unbelievable from Tony Alto there to hang on to that car and stay facing the right way. He's no longer in the top 10, but at least he is facing the right way. Have a look at this. Entry oversteer. He saves it with the apron first time. He's still going, uses the apron again, gets down on the apron, slows down and carries on.
What an amazing piece of driving there from Alto, and he's saved us another caution, which is good. The racing continues on here at Charlotte. What a race has actually been so far. The on-track racing, the side-by-side battles, the tyre strategies have been good so far. Let's see how this one concludes in the final 40-odd laps of this race. We're looking at Dylan Platt. He's making up some positions so far. Only 2 from where he started, but he did drop back, so his relative position gain since the beginning of the race has been good. He's pushing the 71 of Brewstrom, who's also having a great race, up 26 places so far. Helms found himself back up inside the top 10 as well. He's fighting with Fredriksson. We haven't really spoken about Fredriksson all day, but he's a solid position there in P9.
He is in a good position actually, and running rather well under the radar, if you like. He hasn't really been on our cameras at all. That's because he's not really been involved in very much. He's not started 2 races, by the way, this season, so Oscar Fredriksson's probably a little bit lower down than really where he should be, but he's scored plenty of points, and he's got a great chance of getting in the playoffs, especially when those drop weeks are applied. As further up ahead of him, Nicholas Helm gets past Linus Brostrom there.
Yes, of course, if he, with 2 drop rounds, if he's missed 2 races, that means every point counts for him in this championship. He's still side-by-side in the background with the Bright Esports of Kenneth Tier, the 49. Side-by-side, they go in towards turn 3, and he's really trying to hold that around the outside line, but Kenneth Tier is going to have the inside, and that is going to be P9 for the blue machine, following his team boss up ahead of Linus Brewster. We're a little bit side-by-side in the background as well. Was that... Oliver Wallen, I think it was, trying to make his way through. It's also Hagman and Salander. They are continuing to be side by side. So the racing at this track really seems to work so well in these cars.
It does. I think I was a little bit discouraged actually in the first couple of runs where things get single file so quickly that it might be a difficult race, but actually it's been good in terms of side by side so far. Hagman scraping along the wall there in this battle for 11th place. We're getting to that stage in the race now where people are more willing to get a bit closer to the wall and push that little bit harder to try and get the position, whatever it is that they're fighting for. Hagman on this occasion for 11th on the outside line. He's going to get it.
Certainly is. Nice battle between these two. He's now going to have the inside run, actually. Use that momentum up the inside. He's going to get Fredriksson, and that is a lovely double move there from the number 12 machine, using that momentum to great effect and getting himself up inside the top 10 with just under 40 laps remaining in this race. Looking at the fuel numbers, we should be good with when that caution was for everyone to get to the end on fuel as well. So if it stays green, it is going to be a straight run of tyres, making sure you have those rears in check at the end.
However, if there's a caution, even from this point, I think people will be in.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody if it comes out right now, but certainly later everybody will be in because they should have a set of tyres still remaining. My concern would be if you come in sort of alone, because this race has been one of those that has actually had quite a lot of short green flag runs. This is actually the only race other than Bristol that has had a green flag run that is numbering less than 1 laps. And 2 of them, I should say. So we've never had since Bristol 2 0-lap runs in the same race, and so that would concern me a little bit actually. If I was pitting in late on, you don't want to be with 3 laps to go or whatever on new tyres at the back of the lead lap and knowing that this green flag run really might not be very long.
Indeed, and I remember it was Kansas last year where we had Brostrom unfortunately losing out to Ericsson because Ericsson came in with like 7 laps to go and he just had to pray that it remained green to the end and it was enough laps for him to get the win on that day. But you never know, if caution came out, Brostrom would have got the win, but you can't predict what is going to happen. We're seeing that man Ericsson going side by side with Peter Helmbro in towards turn 3, the 77 on that inside line. Ericsson dropped back so much after a disastrous middle stint of the race. Damage on that vehicle for sure as he still tries to work his way through. He did have a bit of a longer stop by 10 seconds as this is Håkan Schott who caused the caution before. There's contact there with 77, but they keep it in check.
Wow, they're lucky to get away with that. That was really close to a big crash, and the shot is there on the outside line, going to get past very easily indeed. He's been into the pit lane, but you wouldn't know it looking at that. Ericsson ducked down below him very easily indeed, and there's more coming through here on the inside line. Tommy Alto, unbelievably, is one of them. He's up to 16th again.
Oh, there's a squeeze up to the wall between the 1 and the 27, and this is lovely racing that we've seen here tonight. He backs out to that one to try and get the inside line, but the 1 is going to cover that one off, get his car to the middle part of the track just to block that for the 27, but he looks pretty confident on the outside line for Forster, but of course this is a move for P3. It's never going to be easy.
No, it's certainly not. I feel like with this slightly shorter run to the end as well, by the way, compared to some of the longer green flag runs earlier, people are pushing that little bit more actually, knowing that their tyres don't have to go quite as far, and that might play into the hands of someone like Michael Pedersen, who clearly did have good speed in that long green flag run, the second run of the race early on, but he did see his tyres go off quite a lot towards the end. If those end laps where his tyres are going off are taken out of the equation, then he's got a really good car and a good chance. However, another caution with just 32 laps to go.
Yes, caution flies. This is the interesting one, Ewan, that you were just talking about a few minutes ago. Surely there's going to be pit stops. But if we get another one later on and someone has saved set tyres, that could be important. On the straightaway for the 140 and the 112, big contact is made as they sort of come into each other a little bit, but in the end it's actually the 140 that moves to the right hand side of the track, just catching the back, just showing you how on the limit the rear end of these cars are, and that's why we've seen everyone wiggling so much. I mean, he's in his lane, he's right up against the wall, and just a tiny bit of contact sends him round.
That's Andre Solander there, who I don't think has painted himself in glory, particularly in that incident. That is going to be looked at for sure, and certainly not looked at fondly by Oscar Fredriksson, who spins around to the inside line. So the green light on at the entry of pit lane. Who comes in and who doesn't? Alexander Ericsson comes in. Does he lead everybody on? Well, Blicht is in. Oh, there's one person staying out, and that's Linus Broström, who stays out.
I'm not sure which way it's going to go. If we stay green to the end, there's no way he's holding on. But if we get another caution in, say, 20 laps with 10 to go, he will then be able to go onto the fresher tyres. He will go back to the back of the pack, of course, but he will at least have the fresher tyres for the final 10. So it's a bit of a risky gamble, and we know that Linus likes playing the long game, but he's not alone. Hagman, Helm, Bohlin, Helmbro all follow that trend, I should say. And as the rest of the drivers come out of the field, it is going to be P6 for Ericsson. So he hasn't lost that many places, and he will be on the fresher tyres.
Interesting that he came in as the leader, I've got to say, with still 30 laps to go. That's a long way, in my opinion, to have used your last set of tyres with drop-off like we have here this evening. Very interesting indeed that he's decided to lead everybody on to pit lane. Blixt lost a place in the lane there, by the way, because Michael Pedersen is ahead of him there. So that's a noticeable change up inside the top of the standings. What this doesn't do, though, is really allow anybody off the lead lap now, other than the lucky pass driver, to get back onto the lead lap. So we've kind of got the drivers we've got now on the lead lap, and people like Dan Peoples may well be stranded one lap down unless there's another caution.
Yes, that is a bit of a shame to lose. Obviously, drivers being a lap down, but that is the name of the game, is always to stay on the lead lap, and then you always have a chance. Excuse me, 30 laps remaining in the race. We now have some split strategies. The good thing for Broström is he's not on his own, so there might be a few extra laps that he can hold on to that position while the drivers on the newer tyres get in behind. But I guess, Ewan, it's hard to predict. But do you think, if it stays green, that these top 5, top 6 can do anything to hold on?
No. If it stays green, I don't think they are going to be able to hang on. They've been out there for nearly... well, that last run anyway was 12 laps, so I'm not really counting any of the others. So that's probably 12 laps or so of tyre life, maybe 15 laps of tyre life, because they've been pushing quite hard behind those on newer tyres already. 2 seconds by the end of the run. They might already be half a second a lap off of the pace. So that's going to be very difficult to deal with over 30 laps. But the fact there's 5 of them does help.
Absolutely, as we see the drivers work their way into formation for what may not be the final stint of the race. We've got split strategies. Top 5 stayed out. Everyone in behind came onto the fresher tyres. But if we get a caution later on, those top 5 will then get their fresher tyres. So it's a bit of a almost a win-win. They're trying to hope. But Broström goes to the front for the first time today. He's up 31 places along with Marcus Hogman. Both of them not great qualifying, but they are having a great race so far. Pace truck comes in, and the Vishwavasta by MHE Racing is going to get underway once more with the 71 on that inside line, having control of the field. And what a start that is going to be. Hogman was sleeping, and the 55 is going to get up his inside. That is Nicholas Helm. We're going 3 wide in the middle. That's Haflidsson trying to get through on a Helmbro. Contact is going to be made, and he continues to go there though, as Hogman on the outside line doesn't have the speed on those older tyres. Haflidsson makes multiple moves. Wallen gets pushed back as he's stuck behind the 12th.
Yeah, Haflidsson deciding to combat Arvidsson's speed with aggression on the restart, and it seemed to have worked early on. He's in the middle here, and he's going to be in the lead by the end of the opening lap. What an unbelievable start from Michael Haflidsson, who gets down the inside of Broström and does lead at the end of the opening lap. That's about 5 or 6 places gained from him in one go. Arvidsson is going to be left well behind here. Now he really needs this race to stay green to the end.
That was brave from the number 1, but he made it work. The 24 is going to get past his teammate as well. Of course, Arvidsson on the newer tyres compared to Broström. I'm not sure, if it stays green, I'm not sure this is going to work, but they're hoping for a caution for those drivers who stayed out. Look at Forsund jumping up into 3rd place. He's on the same strategy, of course, on the newer tyres, and now he's fighting for a podium. He's got past Blix on this restart, and he's pushing his way forward. Also, Dylan Platt up into P5. So definitely, drivers playing strategy games today are moving forward.
Yeah, some losers out of this though. Blix is down to 4th place, even though he was running 2nd before when that caution came out. So a position lost in the pits, and now one in the circuit as well. Forsund is looking to gain one on Arvidsson now as well. Round the outside, as he's been doing from the very beginning of this race. This time at 3 and 4 on Arvidsson for 2nd place.
Oh, this is great battling between these two. On the outside for the 27 is going to be the complete way round, the long way for the 27, but he should have that as you come down the back straight. The 95 of Blix is trying to find his way through. Arvidsson might be losing another place here as we get in towards turn 3. He's looking strong on that inside line though, and he's holding his nose down. He is sliding up ever so slightly as the 95 squeezes him on that mid-line. They get close, but no contact made. A bit of a wiggle for the 95 though.
Yeah, through into 3rd, which is the important part, and so he can begin to come back through again here. Haflidsson's not going to have any worry about tyre life, which maybe was his downfall earlier, so he's in a good place right now with the track position at the moment. Side by side, meanwhile, down the back straight here for Blix and Forsund, and it looks like the number 95 is going to get back to the inside line here. Of the 3 who ran away early on, Haflidsson and Blix are the only ones remaining. Yes, Ericsson still down in 7th place, back in the pack.
Oh, this could change things in the championship so quickly, one way or another. Remember, for these Alcancet cars, they really need a win to have any sort of hope for getting up into the playoffs, because not only do they need the win to guarantee that inside the top 15, but therefore the points that come with it as well to get inside the top 30 in the standings after missing the first half of the season. So this could be crucial for the 1 or the 95 to potentially sneak a championship somehow with the playoff system. The 95 is going to find his way into that 2nd place, but Forsund is not giving up just yet.
Not yet. Outside line for Forsund, where he's been so strong today in that sort of middle to high line, and he's now going to have to give up. Blick finally through on the inside line, and they're right on the back of Haflidsson, who was trying to give him slipstream as best he could down the straights. Now, oh, big defence from Blick, and now he's been let through basically by Haflidsson. That looks very friendly.
Yes, this is wonderful stuff here from the Alcancet cars. They are working together very nicely indeed. They swapped places already earlier on in the race, and now that favour is repaid. The 95 goes to the front, and let's see how this one works. I wonder why, because Haflidsson's been looking very fast, but I guess the 95 just feels it at the moment, and he's already pulling away.
Yep, he is, and probably favourite for this race at this point, but don't forget, if there is a caution, there are 5 drivers on the lead lap who will be coming ripping through on the inside, outside, everywhere a little bit later on. And Linus Broström is still clinging on to 10th place, but look at the time he's losing. Imagine if the roles were reversed in 10 laps or so. That's what the driver, the number 71, will be hoping, but it's never a great idea, in my opinion, to bank your race on cautions.
No, it's not the smartest thing, but sometimes it does work. So we'll certainly have to find out. 20 laps remaining, and we still don't know which strategy is going to work. So there is that tension in the air, and it's been a great race so far. Look at all the teams up towards the front as well. We've got 4 different teams up there inside the top 5 as it stands, and this is working very nicely indeed. We do have a breakaway at the front though, as we have the top 7. Ericsson is on the back of this though, so after repairing that car, it looks like he can hold on for the top pace now.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers who are very much in contention. It's looking quite crowded at the front of the field. Here goes Ericsson to the inside, just never really restarted quite as well as he needed to on that most recent restart, and so looking up the inside of Forsen now, who's looking for his way back past Flidderson. However, Flidderson will be very much playing really good now for Eric Blicht. It certainly looks like that anyway. The teammates possibly helping each other to get one of them over the line first.
Absolutely, they can work together, and let's see if they can manipulate something to their team's goal. They've also got Gunnarsson, of course, in P6, even Salander P8 still about. What a great return from that team. The 24 is going to go up the inside, and he slides up high though, manages to save that one. I think the 27 just gave him an extra half a car width. Saw him diving up the inside, didn't want to get involved in that contact, but the 24 pushing very much so. Now he's lost the momentum, he's having to defend from Dylan Platt, and the 23 machine is now trying to come around the outside of him. Once again, the 24 coming up high mid-corner, trying to defend that one off. Be careful, Dylan, on that outside line. We've seen drivers in the wall, but he's looking fast.
He is looking quick, and back to where he was in the early laps of this race as well. Before the stage points were awarded, he was right up inside the top 10 before things got messy towards the end of the stage. Now, though, he's back to where he was earlier, so in the top 5 again. Ericsson just up ahead of him, looking at the back of Forsen here. Can't quite make the move on this occasion either into 3 and 4, though he gets very close. Still 16 laps to go now in this race.
I'm loving how this I'm just loving how this race is going, basically, and seeing how the drivers are working their way. The battles have been so good and so fierce, and it's crazy how they ebb and flow ever so quickly as well. Goodness, I'm lucking him in the background of this, but that's a big mistake there from the 24. Misjudges the gap to Forsland, has to go way down left to avoid contact, loses the momentum but gathers it up.
Yeah, just in time. It continues in 4th place, which is not a disaster by any means. Just behind him, Platt and Jonas Gunnarsson close in. So once again, Gunnarsson, after not really appearing for most of the day, has now gained 22 places. He's knocking on the door of a top 5. I'm sure he's quite in a similar position as he was to 2 weeks ago, where he's going to be in the lead of the race with a few laps to go. However, he is right up there again after having quite a quiet day.
Yes, indeed. This is great stuff. Great racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 14 laps remaining, and Gunnarsson, that we're riding on board within the 33, still in the thick of it. And I mean, we've got 6 drivers here inside 1 second inside the closing stages of this race. What a event we're having here for the Visual Vanster by MH eRacing. Sadly, none of their cars here up towards the front, but they're certainly giving us a great race today. The 24 still trying to find his way through on Forsen. He might have it this time around, using a bit more throttle mid-corner to get his nose ahead. And as they come onto the exit of the corner, Forsen keeps his foot in it.
Yeah, they're still side by side, but are they harming their own chances here of finishing inside the top 2? Does one of them need to say, well, I'm going to back out of this? I don't think either of them going to. Forsen went very wide there, perhaps put off by the lap car that was right up top, and so Ericsson gets through pretty easily. Now Dylan Platt's looking to the inside of Forsen into 3 and 4.
This is good for Platt as he gets his nose ahead, but once again, Forsen on the outside line, so strong in turn 4 there, should be able to hold on to that one. So this is really ebbing and flowing, but can Platt find his way through down the inside? No, backs out to that one, lifts off quite a bit earlier. That slows up Gunnarsson, which allows Eracsson now to come down the inside. Eracsson sat at the back of this for a long time. He's probably been saving his tyres and trying to wait for his moment to pounce.
Yeah, maybe. He's struggled with track position in the latter third of this race, but it's now the moment where he's going to strike. Gunnarsson gets to the inside of Platt. That's not going to go anywhere. Will the momentum that is lost by the 33 be gained by the 37 as Eracsson closes in here? 11 laps to go as these guys cross the line. Those who are hoping for a caution are starting to see laps run out for them now. Oh! Incident! And an instant crash, but we stay green. Dylan Platt into the outside wall.
That's such a shame for the 23. He's got big damage on that car. He's going to have to come in. Forsen is smiling there, maybe because he knows he's now not got a rival to battle, but up towards the front, we are seeing Aracsson trying to get inside that top 2 that Alcantech have held on for so long. The 24 is coming in very strong with 10 laps remaining. Up the inside of turn 1 is going to be Hafley squeezes him down towards the blue line. Great racing between the two, not giving each other more than they have to. Now to come out of turn 2 down the back straight, they're still battling.
This is surely allowing Eric Blick to get away with the race win. Now to go. This is going to be a big gap to close for Michael Flitterson if he gets, or indeed Alexander Alston, to be honest, if he gets through. This is what happened further behind. Gunnarsson just tapping the back of Platt lightly, but at that speed it will unsettle you, and he slams into the outside wall.
He certainly does. Oh, it's just the tiniest bit of contact and nothing Platt could do. Absolutely nothing that Platt could do. But this just shows you as the tyres are wearing, everyone is going different speeds in the corners with what confidence and what grip they feel in the car. So all of a sudden you get, 5-10 kph different entry speed and contact is made. Lap 1:45 we are. Blix, as you say, Ewan, is getting away by a second, but who is going to get second place? It looks like Haflidsson is able to hold on for the 24, but can he do it for another few laps as it's going to be round the outside for Aracsson? He's going to hold it in there, get actually a bit of an up and under as he looks to get back in line there. Haflidsson is going to have to come to the left to defend. Once again, Aracsson slightly misjudges the crossover like he did a few laps ago.
Haflidsson there wasn't entirely sure he was clear though. You saw the rather panicked look to the top right of his screen where the virtual mirror would be for that side of the car, and he was pretty nervous because he thought, is Aracsson still alongside me here? It's difficult to tell, but he is just about in front. Look at his eyes there, moving to the right hand side again as he just checks his mirrors. Then Forsen is moving to the outside line as well. He's not going to get anywhere through the middle of the corner, just looking to the side and then pulling out to the wall again here. 6 to go at the line, and Forsen is in control of this at the moment. He's certainly done his job as far as protecting his teammate has gone.
Oh, this is definitely a team job being played so well by Alcantech. But look how many cars he's got behind him now. It's not just Aracsson, Forsen and Eracsson really are in this battle. And this is going to be a big job from the number 1 to defend. It's certainly a track where he can do so. Around the outside, that's going to be for Eracsson as well. He tries to get Forsen. He might then be up into that 4th position. As down the back straight, we are side by side, 2 by 2. Aracsson on the outside of Haflidsson, Eracsson on the outside of Forsen. The two sister teammates going side by side, but it looks like Eracsson has that one done. He's back up into P4.
That was close. And Eracsson into the wall. He's in the grass, through the grass, back out again. The momentum's certainly gone away now from the 24. Does this give Haflidsson the chance to get away? But no, probably not, because Jesper Ericsson's into 4th place now, and he's looking for these positions again. He's not been up to these places for quite some time now, ever since he got knocked back earlier. Oh, he smashes the back of Eracsson there, and they both nearly crash.
Aracsson, his heart rate must be through the roof. He's been sliding, he's been off the track, he's had contact, and look at Forsen. He's just absolutely calm in P5. Aracsson's in such a difficult position. Sometimes when you're there stuck behind, it's actually worse than being 3 cars behind like Eracsson and then working your way forward. Big slide there from Aracsson. He goes out of the way. I think he hit the back of Haflidsson actually. Difference in speed in towards turn 1. Ericsson's going to have the run. Can he get himself up into 2nd place? He was nowhere in the middle part of this. He's got his damage repaired and he now has the speed back in that 37.
He's shown today that again he's got the speed around here at Charlotte. It's not going to be the race win, but it could be second. Oh, that was so close. How the two of them held on to that, I do not know. But with 3 laps to go, Ericsson's got his nose in front.
And the championship rivals from a year ago go side by side once more. The 37 on that outside line. They are on the same age tyres, but it looks like Ericsson has held on to that a little bit better. He gets up into second place. Forson is going to try and find his way through in that 27 machine. What a run of results he is having in both the road and oval series. And it is just coming on. He's got 2 laps to go. He's drafting Hafley, but he actually pushes him into the wall.
Yeah, and himself as well. That was pretty messy. Look at that. He's sort of relieved that's all over. And Flirson might be okay now to hang on to that 3rd place, but there's still 2 laps to go. Forson's right behind him, and Gunnarsson is right behind him. Jonas Gunnarsson looking for 4th place now.
Yeah, this is a great run from the 33. Slowly but surely, he's been working his way forward. And because he's been a little bit further back, he hasn't got involved in any of these battles in this final stint of the race. We're coming on to the final lap, and 1.5 miles remain. It looks like it'll be Blix taking victory, but who's going to get the final places in the top 5?
It looks like the top 5 itself are secure, but in what order is the question. Flirson holding off from Forsland and Gunnarsson for the moment, but we'll see how that goes as Eric Blix now makes his way into the final couple of corners.
What a run from the 95. He was gifted the lead by his teammate, but then he's run off. He's got pole position. He was the fastest driver out there on the track today. And the Visual Monster by MHE Racing goes to Eric Blix in the 95 for Alcantech. He gets that victory. And if he gets himself inside the top 30 in the points, he will be in the playoffs and have a chance for this championship despite joining later on in the season. What speed we have in the 95. The 37 Ericsson jumps up back into 2nd place. What a run from him. And Hafley holds on to a podium place with Gunnarsson getting Forson on that final lap. Aronson dropping down to 6th.
Eric Blix, by the way, at the start of the day was 81 points behind 30th position, and so that is the kind of deficit he has to gain. Not only has he taken the win here, but he will have taken quite a chunk out of those 30th place drivers, etc., I would imagine. So he may well be well on his way to the playoffs when they begin in the middle of March. But a thoroughly deserved win. A good run at the end there from him through those 29 laps. He was not the quickest off the restart. That was certainly Flitterson, but he got into the lead with the help of his teammate and rode it home pretty well from there.
What a race that we've had tonight here at Charlotte. That has been great fun. Thoroughly enjoyed that the process of working out who is going to be there and who is going to, of course, get themselves to the end of the race. In the end, it was, as we said, the 95 Eric Blix coming back into the championship and looking so strong. All of the Alcantech cars actually were looking strong, and I can't wait to see what they are going to do. And they're all celebrating there together with Salander on his right. We've got Hafley in the number 1 on his left. Solo at the number 13. We didn't really feature too much today, but he is there on the screen as well. So a dominating weekend for them here at Charlotte, almost getting a 1-2 finish as well. Here is the unofficial results after 153 laps here at Charlotte. It was Ericsson getting the win by 1.5 seconds to Ericsson and Haflidsson rounding out the podium. It was Alcantech 3 cars in the top 4 as Gunnarsson rounds it out with the number 33 in P4. Forson, strong run from him today in P5 in the end. Aronson, Tier, Salander, Helmbro and Brostrom rounding out your top 10. Brostrom maybe making a slight wrong call on the strategy there at the end. Hogman, Auto and Helm, they're inside your top 13 with Schott, Bohlin, Knell, your top 16. Platt dropping down 1 lap. Unfortunately, with that big contact, he should have really been up there inside that top 10. Solo, Fredriksson and Peppels, the next drivers, 1 lap down. Then we go to drivers 2 laps down. We got Uvenen, Motin, Woodberg, Dalstrand, Holbom, Hogstrom, Holmer, Wallen, Gantz, and Tidemo inside your top 30. And of course, these drivers now with plenty of issues, and many of these will be classed as DNFs in the end. Lundberg, Leppit, and Pfeffer involved in a few of the cautions today. Skoglund, Stiller, Brostrom, Ericsson, Nordgren, Schuh, and Reinbach, who really didn't get going today with contact right at the beginning of that race in the opening stint. The 95 of Eric Blix, of course, will now join us in the commentary box as we get some words from him after victory here today at Charlotte. Eric, you definitely look like the fastest car out there today, getting the pole position, and even in race trim, you're working your way forward. Just how was that victory feeling for you?
Yeah, I mean, the victory felt great. I had really nice work from Huffley behind, keeping the other boys busy during the final stint. I could focus on actually keeping the tires on the car after having a pretty bad restart there. I don't know how far I fell back, like P10, P11 somewhere. I felt like I had to fight it back. Tires were pretty hot by then.
Yeah, absolutely. You looked so strong today, though, and I think the tyres were one of the biggest talking points. Of course, the cautions came at quite nice times for the strategy in the end. But how was it managing, especially the rear tyres, obviously, on the car? We saw a lot of people sliding, especially off the exit turn 4.
I struggled more with the right front, actually. I had to work to get the right rear to actually do something. So yeah, I kind of figured it out in the last 2 stints. So the first one was pretty horrible. I got a tire wear warning with like 15 laps to go of the stint. But I got that kind of dialed out in the end.
And with this win, you have a chance to obviously be in the playoffs. You need to get some more points to get up inside the top 30. But do you actually think you have a chance of winning this championship?
Well, we looked at the schedule. I was like, oh, Iowa is funny. Then, hey, if there's a double header at Iowa, we can still make the minimum amount of races. So yeah, for sure we're going for the playoffs, but for the most part we're just having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's great to have you and your teammates back. So yeah, thanks for joining us. And hopefully we'll speak to you again later this season. Well done.
Yeah, see ya.
And then we will grab Jesper Eriksson of the number 37. Jesper, you had a very interesting day there. In the end, finishing where you started, but that isn't the full story. You're looking fast at the beginning there. Let's just take us through the first opening sort of stint of the race. You really had control of the field.
Yeah, to be honest, I found some real pace, and during like maybe lap 40, I just gained some conscious and just started to understand how the car and tires worked, because then I started to get loose while all of my teammates were complaining about so tight, like I'm always spinning out of the turn. So I somehow understood the tires, just bam, and kind of flew away, which was nice, I guess.
Absolutely. But then unfortunately, one of the restarts, you had that big contact with the number 83 sliding in front of you. I assume that probably gave you quite a bit of damage on the front of the car?
Yeah, it's just my luck, I guess. I got some big damage on left front of my nose, and my car basically didn't want to steer at all. So during the second stint, I just dropped way back, which was quite annoying. I got really pissed off, but nothing you can do in the race. You just hope for the best, which eventually happened. Don't know how, but I don't know what God looked down upon me, but some did.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, you ended up on the right strategy, but you had quite a few places to make up at the end. In that final stint, you were sat in, I think it was P7, pretty chill for like 10-15 laps there. Were you just waiting, holding onto the tires?
Yeah, to be honest, I think when I came up to Gunnarsson and basically knew like, at this point, right, I'm not gonna really pass him unless something happens, which nothing did for a while. And as you say, then I try to just stay still, understand tires. I tried my best to do what I did in the first stint and make my car loose, but it didn't really work. And then Gunnarsson and I don't remember his name, Platt, parted the seas for me, and I passed both of them in one corner. And well, I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, I guess there was some luck on your side, but well done today. Getting back up into P2, that was certainly entertaining to watch, and yeah, I'm sure we'll speak to you again later this season. Well done.
Yeah. Thanks, boys. Have a good night.
Yeah, see ya. And then lastly, we get to speak to Michael Haflidsson, of course, the reigning champion after taking victory at Homestead. Missed, obviously, the first half of the season, but you're back. You're in the number one machine, and you get back onto the podium. How was that race for you?
That was fun. Obviously tried to go for the win there and then, but then knowing I can't race for the championship because of lack of races, so, and I know Blixt can, so go and try to defend like Alonso back in 2021. And worked out. Got the win for Blixt, and that's the important thing today.
Yeah, that looked pretty difficult, to be honest, especially in that final stint. I guess we'll start there. You had, I think it was 4 cars right behind you. Were you even looking forward, or were you only looking in your mirrors trying to hold them off?
No. As soon as Blix got past, I was just looking back. No point in trying to look forward. I had a bit of damage on the car as well, so just trying to keep the tires in check. Obviously, not driven the car since the Swedish versus Finland fight, so trying to get back into it, it's a bit difficult, so just trying to manage that.
Yes, certainly. That was sort of one of my next questions. Was the tires seem to be, well, they have been all season the important factor in this car. How was it fighting with them, especially on the longer stints? I mean, we saw the drop off being over 2 seconds a lap, which is quite a lot, around a circuit like this. How was it feeling the balance of the car change over the stint?
Yeah, during the first stint I pushed way too hard, and then noticed, I don't have any tire left, so kind of took that into consideration. The other stints, second stint was pretty good until the caution came and we decided to pit, which I think saved our day for the win. But yeah, third stint, obviously I burnt my tires to a crisp.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly a difficult car, but congratulations. Another podium to add to your stats. And, maybe we'll see you again later this season.
Yeah, you will. Thank you.
Perfect. And that concludes the interviews here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that was a really entertaining evening of action. But of course, that is not it for the season. It is for 2024, though. So thanks for joining us over the first 10 rounds of action. But we still have another 9 to go. We start at Nashville the 16th of January. So give us a couple of weeks and then we'll be back after the Christmas and New Year break. And then we get going already with the second half of the season. 4 more rounds remaining before we get to the round of 15 and the playoffs. Eric Blixt has got himself half of the way into the playoff. He needs to get a few more points to lock himself in there, but with the win tonight, he is looking very good to have a run for this championship. It's been myself, Cameron Roger, Yuna Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until then, enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your New Year, and we'll see you in 2025.